Hi guys, welcome to another episode of our Bible stories. Here we talk about Bible stories in a very interesting and relatable way for the modern day believer. And today we will be talking about the story of Deborah. Yeah, so Deborah is a woman, one of the powerful women spoken about in the Bible. She was a prophetess, she was a judge, she was a warrior, she was a mother, and she was a wife. She was everything at a time when women were meant to shut up. So let's get into the story. Yeah. So once upon a time, the Israelites were being oppressed by King Jabin, who was the king of Canaan. They were oppressed by these people, the King Jabin, and his chief of army, who was Sisera. So because the Canaanites had more military weapons, they had iron chariots and probably more military strength than the Israelites. They were oppressing the Israelites, and God allowed this thing to happen because the Israelites were not obedient to Him and they were serving other gods. So after 20 years of oppression, the Israelites got tired and they cried out to God for help. So God chose a woman to help bring the Israelites out of this bondage, out of this oppression which they were suffering from King Jabin of Canaan. Because at that point they needed a leader to rise up and charge them up to battle, and Deborah was whom God chose. So Deborah was a prophetess and she was a judge who administered justice over the children of Israel. So she was a very busy woman. She was prophesying over Israel, and every day she was under the palm tree um administering justice. People would come with their various cases, and she was the one in charge to administer justice to those people. So God spoke to her and told her that He was going to deliver Israel. And after He gave her the instruction, she called Barak, who was one of the officers, one of the Israelite soldiers, and she told him that God was commanding him to take on 10,000 soldiers, 10,000 men, and prepare for battle against King Jabin. So after she told him this, Barak told her that because he wasn't so confident in their ability to win the battle. So he told her that he was not going to go. He said, I will not go on this battle if you don't go with me. If you go with me, if you stand with me on this battle, I will go for this battle. So when he said this, Deborah then told him that okay, that she was going to go with him on this battle. But because of his attitude, because he wasn't having total trust on the word of God, he wasn't having that faith to know that for God to have commanded him, He had made provisions for him to win the battle. So she told him that because of his attitude, that she was going to go with him for the battle, yes, but he was not going to take the honor of killing Sisera. Rather, the honor would be given to a woman. So after she said that, she charged him up to go prepare the men that would go with him. That's the soldiers that would go with him for the battle. And he did. So when they prepared themselves, they marched on to Kadesh, which was where they were going to battle against Sisera and the army of King Jabin. So when they were approaching Kadesh, Heber, who was one of the friends of Sisera, then when he stays around Kadesh. So when he saw them, he went and told Sisera that the Israelite soldiers were coming to war against them. So Sisera then prepared his own soldiers, prepared their military weapons. They had chariots, 900 chariots. So they prepared that to war against the Israelites. But after preparing all that, when they were trying to cross through the river and come against the Israelites, God discomfited all their plans. God frustrated their plans and caused a flood to happen. So a heavy flood came and washed off all the chariots, all the chariots of this Sisera and his army. So when this happened, his army, they were so frustrated, they were confused, and at that point the Israelites were able to come against them and kill the soldiers, that's the Canaan soldiers. So when Sisera saw that the Israelite soldiers were already defeating his army, he ran out of his chariots and ran for safety. So he ran to the house of Jael, who is the wife of his friend Heber, the one that told him, gave him information that the Israelites were coming to war against them. So when he entered there, he was hoping for safety, and as he got there, she welcomed him and gave him blankets to cover himself, and he asked for water. But instead of giving him water, she gave him milk so he would sleep very well. And he told her that if anyone comes to look for him, she should say there's nobody inside here. And she agreed. So when this man was fast asleep, Jael took a hammer and a tent peg, and she pounded this hammer in the head of Sisera. So this man convulsed and died. Like this woman, she killed him. She killed him regardless that he was the friend of her husband. So after killing him, some moments later, Barak, that's the chief of army staff of the Israelites, came to her tent to ask her if she had seen Sisera, and she told him that he should come and see the man whom he's looking for. So she went and showed him Sisera, who was lying lifeless in her tent. So after the death of Sisera, Barak and Deborah, they sang a song of praise to God, and they were able to defeat and destroy King Jabin, who was oppressing the Israelites for 20 years. So that was how God brought victory to the Israelites. This story is one that, like, we can see and learn very valuable lessons from. And one of the lessons we can learn is that God can use anybody, regardless of the gender, regardless of the age, regardless of the person's status. God can use anybody. And we can see how God was able to use Deborah at a time when women were supposed to be at the back burner, at a time where women were not expected to speak. Deborah at that time was a judge over Israel. She was a prophetess. She was a warrior. Not just any warrior, but one whom the army staff, who was Barak, said that he was not going to go on this battle except she goes with him, except she stands with him in the battlefield. He was not going to go on this battle. So she was a warrior, she was a mother, and she was a wife. So she was all those things at a time when women were not supposed to even talk, or women were not supposed to even come out or be seen outside. So it just shows that God can use anybody. And aside from using Deborah, God used Jael, so the wife of Heber. She was a tent woman, she was just a homemaker, but God used her at that time to kill Sisera and give the Israelites victory. Another lesson we could learn from this story, the story of Deborah, is the lesson of having faith and trust in God. So when God spoke to Deborah about how he's going to bring them out of that oppression, she had full faith. She had full trust in God. And she didn't ask questions. She just believed and gave Barak the commandments, what God had told her that he was going to do. But when she told Barak this, instead of having this full faith and confidence that since God has said it, since God has said he was going to give them victory over Canaan, that he was going to bring his word to pass, but he doubted and needed um Deborah to go with him to the battlefield. And because of this, God said that he was not going to get the honor of killing Sisera. It was rather going to go to the a woman. And that was just what happened, because he was not trusting. He was looking at, oh, these people, the Canaanites, had more military weapons. They had stronger soldiers. They had 900 chariots. And how can we, after being oppressed for 20 years under these people, how can we win the battle against them? Maybe if Deborah comes with us, maybe we can then win. But he was wrong, and because of that, God made sure that he didn't take the honor of killing Sisera, but it went to a woman. And it shows that when God says go, he has already made provisions for us. He has already made provisions for us in places where he says we should go. And there is no point trying to waste time or trying to second guess if we would win in a place where he has sent us to. And another lesson we can learn from this story is courage. Courage. Deborah was so courageous. She was so courageous that even when they were on the battlefield, she kept on charging Barak and telling him that, go, God has granted you victory. God has granted you victory. She kept on encouraging him on the battlefield because she had that courage. She wasn't seeing all the things that these other armies they had, but she knew that they had a stronger backing, which was God. Yes. So this story is filled with so many lessons, and I would urge you to go to the book of Judges chapter 4 and 5 and read more about the story. Just get a personal feel of the story, and I know you would surely be blessed. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and put on your notification button so you would know when new videos pop up. Bye.